I live in London, and like most cities, it's a bubble. It's not always easy to see climate change happen here, and it can be easy to ignore. We tend not to make our environment a priority. We react to our world. We know all the stories, but because we don't see it with our own eyes, it can be hard to believe it's our problem. I've been lucky enough to travel across the world, but I've seen firsthand the impacts of climate change. It's clear this is happening, and it's happening now. What I'm seeing out in these places is truly terrifying. It's always been important to me that my work is for wildlife. It has to be more than simply documenting our world. So I wanted to go to the one place where my work could have the most impact: the battleground of climate change, Antarctica. To make sure I got the narrative right, I went to see Chief Polar Advisor Rod Downey at WWF UK.
Both the Arctic and the Antarctic, they effectively regulate how our planet works as a system. They drive the climate through the albedo effect, so through reflecting the sun's energy back out to space. They regulate our coastlines, so the shape of our coastlines is all regulated by sea level rise, and most of the land ice in the world is locked up in Antarctica. You know, they're also areas that are particularly vulnerable to the climate crisis that we're seeing.
This kind of area?
That's right, yeah, so particularly Western Antarctica. So in the second half of the last century, saw a temperature rise of about 3 degrees C. We're trying to regulate global climate warming to 1.5 degrees. We've already experienced 3 degrees in this area.
So all of these changes that we need to happen, what kind of timescale are we talking here?
Well, you know, don't listen to me, Harry. Listen to David Attenborough. You know, he said it very clearly. You know, we've got a 10-year time frame to tackle climate change, to get on top of those emissions, to halve our emissions, and then to halve them again in the next decade and the next decade after that until we get to net zero. And you know, it's hugely ambitious. It needs to be ambitious, but it is still achievable.
A few more hours and then we're shipping off this afternoon. That kind of sky, like these dark, moody, angry skies. You know, because the things that we want to be saying about Antarctica aren't nice things, really. You know, these are tales of, well, destruction, really. And that isn't said very well, very clearly with beautiful weather. You know, that's not a golden hour photograph. That is angry skies, that is murderous clouds. So, hopefully.
For a piece to work for me, there are 4 key elements that all need to coalesce in a single shot: light, subject, location, and narrative. It's so important to pre-visualize how these elements might play out, so that when you're in the field and you're amidst the chaos of everything unfurling, when that moment presents itself, you're ready.
Right, see if we can see land. Drink passage was so calm, we made it to record time. So we're expecting to be at sea all day, but actually we're going to get off and hit the 7th continent today, ahead of schedule. We're not going to get many shots of doing this. Maybe this could be the only shot from coming down to Antarctica. It's not easy nor cheap to get here, so I don't want to miss the opportunity. I want to make the very most of it. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, but pressure's what makes good photographs. But yeah, I'd feel a lot better if we bag an absolute 10 out of 10 early in the trip. I'd feel a lot better, I think.
With katabatic winds rolling in from nowhere, Deception Island lived up to its name. This is such an unforgiving part of the world. Not only is the landscape barren and almost completely devoid of colour, it's also strewn with the skeletons of the whaling industry. And it's a testament to the generations of greed which really brought this once incredible ecosystem to its knees.
So at the moment, nothing's really coalesced in my mind, so I'm just kind of walking around. Don't see a shot. It's very rubbly, so there's a lot of distracting elements. You've got these quite steep beaches, which means that your angle's generally looking down, which is not great. You've got these relatively aggressive fur seals, so we can't really get too close. Yeah, I think he's trying to get to the water, but we're sort of in his way, so we're just backing off. It's day one, and we have like just over 3 weeks. So, a lot to come, I hope.
One of my trademarks is photographing camera in hand. This allows me to retain full artistic control, but it also means that I'm able to be completely conscious of the interaction between an animal and myself. I wanted the seal to turn over to get a more central composition, but not unsettling the subject is super important to my work, and I'd rather come away empty-handed.
Just waiting, you're finding the scene and just waiting for some kind of subject to present itself, even like a tiny little bird. So you're just identifying a bird flying across, you set the scene and just let it fly across. It's got pretty cold. I came outside, it was pretty warm, so I didn't need my gloves, but the lights got so good I didn't want to leave it for a second. It's just waiting a game. Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantees anything happens, but this light is just incredible. You need almost nothing to happen for it to be a good shot. Look at my fingers. That is what God fingers look like. That's kind of how it is sometimes. When the light just gets good, you can't risk it. And if you haven't got the stuff with you, you just kind of have to grin and bear through it. Everyone else thinks you're insane. And I'm not sure enough of the subject presented itself, but the elements are all here. So it's there for the taking. Whether or not they will coalesce, I don't know. Right, let's get some dinner. If a whale breaches, then I quit. We've been running through the itinerary, and there's a lot of sail time, more than we thought, actually. And yeah, this means that we have less time shooting, so we only have another day in Antarctica. Yeah, I'm pretty angsty right now. But I think finding a way to use that pressure is good. You know, I think it makes you work harder. It's easy to sit in your laurels and think you've got time. And I think actually I was feeling that, you know, right at the start of the trip.
got ages of time, what, 3 weeks, but when you break it down, you don't have 3 weeks, you've got 10 days. 10 days in sailing time, and suddenly that feels like a very different ordeal, so yeah, pressure's on. We're kind of circling around at the moment, waiting for permission to land, and so it's a good opportunity just to kind of suss it out. Fingers crossed, it's our last day in Antarctica, so we have to make it work. Yeah, it's possible. Possible the light is not doing us any favors at all. Super flat, super grey. It's a shame. It's all a bit tight stuff at the moment. I want to get on the beach, but they seem skittish, and I don't want to upset them. Pretty frustrating, really. You're out on the beach, there are penguins and things happening, but it's a lot of clutter, the light's not great, so you can feel like it's a really hard task to get a shot, and I definitely find myself getting quite agitated, like we're running out of time, not really what I'm looking for just in the moment. It's pretty clear that as much as I love the Gentoo and the Adelies, I don't think they're the right subject. They are too small. I think they work really well maybe this afternoon as points of reference and points of scale on icebergs, if we get lucky and see that. They'll work perfectly for that. It's not panning out quite right just yet. This huge iceberg just tipped 45 degrees to the side, and you can see where it's been underwater, and then there's this massive penguin colony. You know, almost just using the penguins as just a point of reference, you know, not a subject per se, but just giving it some scale. I'm gonna nip to the back of the boat. So I wish we'd seen more of that. That's what I was looking for. Maybe we'd had a last little hurrah, you know. I'm kind of relieved that as we head out, and we actually are probably seeing our last icebergs now, we did finally get to see that. So a little bit of a relief, yeah. Worth freezing for. I actually really like this edge of this kind of like tipping, this lovely sort of serpentine line and then these angry skies. Yeah, beautiful. This is the great thing about nature, you just never really know, do you? That's why it's an exciting job, you know. You can have a terrible day and instantly it's a great day, or you can have vice versa, and you know, it takes one cloud to clear and suddenly it's a whole new game. So yeah, that's why I can do this for the rest of my life, for sure. Exciting. Now I'm feeling pumped now for South Georgia. For the first time since the start of the trip, my confidence was finally renewed. But this job is never quite plain sailing.
And to think this is a fraction of what it can be. It goes through spates of getting like suddenly for like a couple of minutes really rough and then kind of stopping again. Good.
I feel fine. It's fine. There's something much worse about feeling sick with a camera in your face.
Really?
Yeah, it's really off-putting. Well, you're going to find out as soon as you're in my shoes.
The light's now pretty cool as well. You know, I just feel like something could actually work. We've had no luck with light recently. It feels like everything is falling in place. Yeah, this could be the moment, it could not, you don't know, and that's really exciting, but also pretty nerve-wracking. Have you ever, in your life, seen anything like that? Not only in terms of huge numbers of animals, but the fact that they're just so inquisitive. They literally walk right up to you. It's just a little overwhelming at the moment. Making yourself small and letting the natural curiosity just come and do the rest. It's a place which feels like it should be so barren, like there shouldn't be anything here, it feels. And yet, there's just wildlife in its absolute millions. What a privilege to be here in such a well-protected place where these animals are absolutely thriving. You know, it gives you hope that actually there's still chance, there's still time for us to do something about these places. You know, if we could take the same kind of approach to the rest of the world, we could actually make a difference. And what an amazing world it would be if we did. It's kind of coming down now. We've got this quite creepy mist going on. We've had such an incredible time out here. Photographically, it's not been there quite yet. I kind of feel guilty that I'm not doing this place justice, really. It's such a beautiful part of the world. I feel like if I come away and I can't really sing its praises in my imagery, then I've let it down. Okay, so 6 o'clock is to the beach, 6 o'clock. This is either going to be absolutely epic or not work photographically at all, I can't tell. The sad thing is you can't really watch because you just want to not make eye contact so they don't feel threatened and just let them walk by. You don't want to startle them. But it's a really nice noise of hearing them clink past you. I always came out there with this mission objective and of ghostly, and that's what today was. So that's really cool. And quite a lot of different kind of options along that theme. So that's pretty good. That's pretty exciting. We'll see. But another good day in paradise. A lot of the first hills have been pretty aggressive, but his demeanor was pretty relaxed. He's been playing kind of behind me, so it kind of felt like he'd be open to it. And he was coming up, he was pretty inquisitive. It wasn't, you know, he wasn't huffing and like making noise. It was kind of playful. I think with almost every animal, they'll tell you when they're upset before they actually make any issue. So you see with the fur seals, they kind of before, and then they charge you. Whereas he wasn't making any noises, so he didn't seem very upset. I think he's just having a bit of fun. You know, mum's away.
South Georgia was a habitat destroyed by whalers and fur sealers. Wildlife populations were hunted to near extinction. But now, they're back from the brink, with millions of fur seals calling these islands home. It really shows how if we do act, there is still a chance to protect these wild places. Amongst the ruins and the scars of the past, there is still hope.
This was our last day shooting with the wildlife, and I was there working away, and then I just put the tripod down and was surrounded by these penguins, and it was just a hugely emotional moment. The sort of reality dawned that I probably won't see these guys for years. Just put everything aside and take it in and try and capture that moment and that feeling, being surrounded by these incredible animals. It was so privileged to be here with them, and I do wonder for how long this will be the case. Being this close to animals and then being completely happy in your presence, it's really everything my work stands for. Wild and free and at total ease. I just love the fact that you can sit there and if you don't disturb them, they're quite happy with you. It's a real touching experience, and it's a real reminder why I do what I do.
For now, it's a paradise. But who knows for how long? It's really our duty, and the duty of everyone who comes here, to be the ambassador for this incredible place. To go home and to shout about it, and make sure that it stays the pristine jewel that it is. I left South Georgia on quite a high, and really that was a relief. It's the first time that I felt that way in quite a few years, that we can still make a difference, that there is still time, and it really restored my passion and my faith. There has never been a more relevant time to be a wildlife photographer, when you are working with animals which are quite literally disappearing in front of your eyes. Our window is so short, and change has to happen if our planet stands a chance. But if we all make incremental changes, these will add up. It will make a difference. Together, we can make the changes our world so desperately needs.